Well, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ask Brand Speak, where we talk about branding and digital marketing. My name is Gio, one of the marketing associates here in BrandSpeak Asia. So, first of all, I want to say hi to chat. If you guys are watching live right now, please say hello. Good afternoon. I hope everyone's doing well. And of course, happy Friday. The weekend's here. So, anyway, if this is your first time watching, we are doing these live sessions weekly every Friday to in our new schedule, which is every Friday 12 noon on Facebook and YouTube Live. If you want to be a part of our community, please make sure to follow us on all of our social medias seen below. And also, if you're watching from YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And of course, hit the bell button so you don't miss any notification. You never know. We might be putting a new lesson out, a lecture, or just simply going live again. So yeah, and also if you want to ask questions about branding, digital marketing, or anything related to marketing, just comment below and we'll make sure to answer your questions as soon as we can. We can even talk about in our next episode, the questions you ask. It could be the next topic, you never know. So again, feel free to ask your questions in the chat. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we are also offering free 10-minute brand consultations. Yeah, you heard that right. It's actually free. Free 10 minutes of consultation. No? So if you're a youngster like me who's looking to start a small business, or if you've been in the business world for quite some time now, don't pass out on this opportunity. All you have to do is type it in the comments. No, I want 10. All caps. That's I space WANT space number 10. And if you're on Facebook, you should see a question pop up card. And then you can just click that. And then basically we can get in touch with you as soon as we can. One more time, type it down below. If you want consultation, I want 10 to avail your free 10-minute consultation. And one of our team members will reach out to you as soon as we can. So today, we will be joined by some of our most experienced designers and editors here in BrandSpeak Asia to talk about the latest design trends for 2021. So let's get this show on the road. Without further ado, here I go and introduce Sir Brett and Sir Jerome. Hello, Sir Brett, and hi,
Hello,
Sir
hi
Jerome. How
Gio.
are you guys doing? Good afternoon to
Hello.
you guys. I hope everyone's doing well, no? So again, so guys, also if don't forget, no, if you guys have questions too about graphic design or trends in general, or yeah, anything with trends and graphic design, please put it down in the chat, and then we'll do our best to answer them. So let's get this show on the road and put the most basic question out now. What is a design trend, and what makes a trend a trend?
So, graphic design trends are how we interpret what's happened before, and this will help us try this. We graphic designers will help us to try and analyze and understand and somewhat predict the future. The idea of predict the future. The idea of this is that we want something that's not that is different what we have now, but not too different. Now, on what makes a trend trends boil down to social forces among which styles or taste of the masses change. Trends that experience widespread adoption can be attributed to the following driving elements, that is, the right place, the right time, the right moment, and the right people. So, Gio, I remember that trending post about Lugao last year. I think we are on
Yeah,
EZQ, right? That time that only the essentials goods are allowed to travel, and it seems like it not be the right place at the right time, but Grab Food took that advantage to promote their services. So,
true.
so trends, as we've said, are driven by taste and style and establish themselves firmly for a given period of time, thanks to common sentiment.
I see. Yeah, no, that makes that's a very good way of putting it. How about you, Sir Jerome?
A trend. So a trend is a general direction in which something is changing or moving. So it has to be recognized by or gained mass usage. So I'm quoting Philip Van Dusen. So on a side note, a trend doesn't have to be always brand new. So a design trend are usually analyzed and reviewed by a group of designers or a group of creative agencies. And these trends are used and applied by graphic designers on their design layouts, to gain more attraction, to gain more viewers. And in that way, you're promoting the target brand or your brand followers, to gain more attraction. So that's design trend for me.
Okay. Well, it's very interesting that you guys mentioned you guys kind of predict, or in my opinion, you can dictate where the trends will go simply because you choose what to put out and what will people see, and people will be like, "Hey, that's nice. Why don't I try that?" And then more people will think that way, and then see, you guys basically decide now what people will do. No? So let's go to question number two. Who creates the design trend and who are the trend forecasters?
Okay, so trend forecasters, they're commonly seen in the fashion scene, in the fashion industry. So these are the well-known brands or the well-known establishments, but they've been there for a couple of years. So they have a great influence in the fashion industry. So for me, a good example is the movie, The Devil Wears Prada. I know most of you guys are familiar with that movie. It's a good movie for me. Um, there's a memorable scene there, where Anne Hathaway, she plays a character, a fashion assistant to the editor in chief, where she was wearing this blue cerulean, the famous cerulean scene, cerulean
Yes.
sweater, and suddenly she interrupted, while Miranda Priestley and her team were discussing on what shoes to belt. So yes, Andy abruptly interrupted by laughing and giggling and making a side comment about the stuff. So in that, comment, Miranda Priestley, played by Meryl Streep, felt that Anne Hathaway was not that serious in her work. So she put a side comment. I mean, she approached and confronted Andy that the blue sweater that she's wearing, it represents, a lot of people, a lot of jobs, pulled together and made a decision in making that sweater. So I'll just quote a scene from that movie. However, that blue, the blue sweater that Andy's wearing, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. So it's a sort of comical on how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry, when in fact, you're wearing that sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room from a pile of stuff. So in that scene, it's very powerful. You can see that, without you knowing that the clothes you're wearing was already pre-selected by the group of people or influencers, unknowingly, na influence ka. So for that scene, that movie is very powerful. You can see the power, the blue collar, on how it's used and how it influenced a lot of people, a lot of users, a lot of people wearing clothes at that time, in the clothing industry. So it's a color trend. So in our case, as graphic designers, we create a certain design, and some graphic designers follow your design technique or style, and then later on, it will gain a lot of followers, gain attraction. Then later, it will be used in the market design. And then, of course, in that scene, that scenario, you become a trendsetter. And later on, that trend, once the design community recognizes it, that design that you made it becomes a design trend. So you can be a design setter yourself, in that scene. So anyone can be a trendsetter. It will be your followers and your group, among your groups, who will recognize your work, And of course, they will be your trendsetters, your trend
Yeah,
forecasters rather.
yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree with that, Sir Jerome. I think if there's one person that would pop in my head right now, that would be a very good example would be Jeffree Star. No, he actually started as an influencer, as a makeup guru kind of guy, and now look at him. He's actually one of the most successful makeup brands, all because he's made some trends popular, certain makeup styles popular, and now look at him. You're totally right. I totally agree with anyone can be a trendsetter these days. No? And how about you, Sir Brett?
Yeah, I agree on what Sir Jerome said. Before we had the internet, fashion forecasters would decide which looks would cause the biggest impact on the market, and this was based on fashion houses that were producing from season to season. Fashion houses like Versace, Burberry, and Gucci, and any other fashion houses that are located in Europe. Today, almost any online influencer has the means to set a fashion or design trend. And also remember this that trends are spread by people. Yeah.
Very true. I totally agree with that. And since you mentioned Sir Jerome, actually with color, the power of color, I think we can share the power of color right now, and we could share with all of you the color of the year. So yeah, Sir Brett, would you want to take care of this?
Yeah, this year 2021 Pantone have chosen to embrace positivity and fortitude with their selection of two colors of the year. A bright yellow tone called Illuminating and a natural shade called Ultimate Gray. Aesthetically, they would pair wonderfully together, but Pantone had more in mind than just looks. Ultimate Gray is a symbol of strength and stability, while Illuminating Yellow brings warmth and optimism. That's just how core psychology works. Together, the colors drive a sense of resilience, which is welcomed after uncertainty and chaos experienced around the world in 2020. As Pantone said in their blog, a message of happiness supported by fortitude, a combination of ultimate gray and illuminating is aspirational and gives us hope. We need to feel that everything is going to get brighter. This is essential to the human spirit.
Yeah, I totally agree with
Yeah.
that. Especially like times right now, like with like COVID, and it's kind of a tough situation. We always must look forward, no, and look at the brighter side, and always see a brighter future ahead of us. Before we go to question number three, I want to know how's the chat doing, and I'm seeing some questions. Here's an interesting question that we may tackle, no, from Paulo Santos. There you go. How can a trend forecaster be that a certain thing would be a trend rather than a fad? Sir Brett, Sir Jerome, do you think you can handle this, or give your 2 cents in this question?
Okay, so I'll answer that question. So trend
Mm,
forecasters, they're not that certain that a certain trend will be a fad or really a thing because they predict this or they post this a year before, like last year, 2020. So there's an uncertainty. So it's not a guarantee that the
mm.
trend will actually push you throughout the year. Like what Paulo Santos mentioned, it can be a fad, a short-lived phase that can only be used for a certain period of time. So it's not a guarantee, but again, it can be resurrected, it can be revived. So yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, I think a very good example would be that the hoverboards, no, that,
Yeah.
that you remember that
Yes.
thing that people stand on with the two wheels. That thing was more of a fad, but technically a fad is a trend, just a very short trend, no. So
Yeah.
yeah, and guys, also don't forget to follow us on the links below that you will see on the screen. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at BrandSpeak Asia. Always remember that. There you go. Now you see it below on the screen. Don't forget to follow us there at BrandSpeak Asia. Cool. So I think. Oh, there's another question, by the way. This is by Renzo Miguel. What design trend is going out of style this year? Oh, that's actually a very good question. No? What's what's a certain trend that's not really a thing right now?
Hmm.
Hmm,
For me, I think going towards to next year, I believe that we're going to lean more on futurism. That's what I saw from Apple's presentation. Their presentation are more on glass, morphism, futurism, more on neon. So I think um, you, this is my on my opinion, but I think Pantone I mean muted colors are a thing now, but leaning towards to futurism, I think more on bright colors will appear more on the future year.
Hmm. Very true. Very true. Actually, yeah, I think I remember that. No, that's why if you look at the new Mac, the new iMacs, they're very bright colored, and then they really pop out. No, especially at the plain background. But this is actually a good statement from Lay or Miss Lay. Hi, Miss Lay. You won't actually know for sure which design would trend until you try and see. I guess for me, as long as the design makes sense and continues to be relevant, it'll be a trend rather than a fad. There you go. That's a very nicely
True.
put. Hmm. And I think let's tackle this one last question na lang. And then let's move on to the main question that we have. Paulo Santos again goes, I see. So how do you deal with fads? Like, what are good precautions to make a comeback from it? Well, sige, Sir Brett, Sir Jerome, do you think you can handle this one?
Okay, to answer Paulo Santos' question, for a fad to come back, you have to address a certain need from a certain artist or for certain market that they will feel that it will make their brands more relevant. It will create more impact. So in order for that fad to have a comeback or and become a trend, you have to address a certain need. Like an impact or something that would make a life changing. Something like that that will really be useful for that brand.
Very true. Yeah, I think a very good example of coming back is the idea of retro, bringing
Yeah.
stuff from the 80s here now, like of course, like the very popular show Stranger Things. The reason why it's so successful is because one, it's a coming of age, story, like a kind of show, so people in the young age. However, also people who lived during the 80s would want to watch it because they will, go back in time in their memories and, oh, I
Yeah.
did that. So I think that's a very good way of bringing back a certain
Mhm.
trend, no? Yeah. So yeah, let's move on to question number 3. What are the top 3 design trends for 2021?
Okay, so the top three trends for me is number one, the muted colors. Brett mentioned this a while ago. So muted colors, I noticed that we are starting to use this. Our company is also using this. Is that we want to create a more comforting vibe, since we want to veer away with vibrant colors that we've seen and we've been attending virtual meetings, virtual events, and somehow we want to rest our eyes. I would like to believe that the reason why we're using muted color palettes is that we want to have another view, another um, design look and feel that somehow we will feel relaxed, that we won't that eyes will not be fully strained by it. So that's my take on it. And then the next trend that I noticed is the use of outline typography. Yeah, this is actually for me. This is actually a very good trend right now because somehow it gives emphasis on your message. So another trend that I noticed is the highlighted typography there. Yes. So the highlighted typography is somehow we actually see this in your social media like IG stories and some where you put rectangular violators or text boxes behind your messages. Yeah, we can see that in the yeah something like that. That will make your text stand out more, so that your viewers will not have any contrasting uh, perception between the background image and the text right in front of it. So it's in this way, your messages are clearly seen because you're using a text box or a colored box behind it. So the next number three, the next trend that I noticed is the use of glassmorphism, image distortion. So in this example, I again from my recent from the graphic designer that follow Philip Van Dusen, he showed here some designs using blurred glass. So this design is actually very useful if you want to showcase something, coming soon, or something shows a mystery. So this blurred design or the glass morphism is very visible and prominent. When you visit websites, when you click on an image and there's an image behind it, and somehow we are focused more on the image in front than the image behind it. So I think this is actually useful for UI, user interface designs, website designs. That's it for me.
Oh, cool.
Those are the
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, the outlined one really stood out to me because I see it everywhere, especially on
Yeah.
social media. Everybody uses it like on Pinterest or Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, very good top three. And how about you, Sir Brett?
For me, my top three design trends are number one would be custom made 3D icons. I saw this a while back in 2020. I think Google first um, Google first done this with their logo, and now everybody is jumping in on that trend to make their casual logos, make it like pop out 3D. It's like 2D but 3D. So as you can see, this many logos are made into 3D designs. Number two is 70s and 80s cartoons inspiration. So I saw this ad from the Suicide Squad, the new Suicide Squad, and I love this this poster because it brings back to my early years, mga kababata. So I remember seeing this at my younger age. Like in Manila, I saw some of the ads there. The movie ads is, I think it's hand drawn, hand painted. So this reminds me of that year. So yeah, like what you've said in Stranger Things, they're bringing back sentimental things to make a trend. And last would be animated logos. Um, so I saw this from Lala Move, and just like the, so this helps to increase memorability and brand awareness and improve storytelling to and create original image for the brand. Um, now we it's good to have a logo that is static, but I think it's more appealing that and more gives more storytelling to the brand if the brand is moving or if the brand itself is telling a story. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the
I
top
totally
three
agree with
for.
that. One thing that that stood out to me is the animated logos. No, I think that's because everyone has a phone now. You can't go like a kilometer without seeing a screen. So having animated logos right now is very important for your brands and your businesses. So I think yeah, the animated logos one really stood out to me. But again, really wonderful top three design trends for 2021. So I hope everyone's taking down notes. Huh? Everyone in the chat, everyone watching the live right now. These are your top three design trends, so you know what to use for your pub mats and etc. And if you have further questions, don't forget you could always use the you can type it down right now. I want 10 in the comment section right now, and then somebody from BrandSpeak Asia will get in touch with you, and you can avail the 10-minute one-on-one that consultation for your certain business or brand. So yeah, I hope chat's doing okay. I'm going through the comments right now. And oh, that hi Miss D. Good design for me evokes emotion and prompts me to do something as a next step after seeing the design. That's so true. It can also seeing a good design can lead you to a certain direction, right? It can bring you somewhere. Justine Texan, hi. It's simple yet it tells a story, and it got my attention quickly. Very true. As that very popular quote goes, a picture writes 1,000 words, right? So, so let's go to the fourth question that we have today. No? How can you apply a design trend in your brand?
So, so I have two things to say about this. So, number one would be find the stickiness factor. So, journalist and actor Malcolm Gladwell claims that in order for any trend, idea, or social behavior to cross the threshold of becoming a widespread phenomenon, it must have the stickiness factor. So one perfect example of this is Apple, whose whose switching cost, meaning if you change from Apple to Android, it would cost you more because their 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 ecosystem is um very linear to their brand, and this cost their loyal to this cost their users to stay loyal to the whole Apple ecosystem, and this stickiness has empowered Apple's ability to drive trends. So I remember back in a couple of years ago, I think 2015 or 2016, the time where Apple announced their new phone, Apple iPhone 7. So if you know Apple users back then, um, dati kasi Android pa ako eh. So recently I just moved from Android to Apple, and all my equipments I use Apple also. So for Apple removed their headphone jack from iPhone 7, which kick-started a chain reaction which has led to industry-wide of mass removal of the headphone jack from smartphones. So dati Apple released their phones without their headphone jack, and they released their new device, which is the AirPods. And from that movement, many many industry that are um, producing smartphones would jump into that trend because Apple did it. So number two is connect with influential people. Influencers can either start trends themselves or help brands to drive them by leading their clout. So within your own industry, there will be influencers that you can identify and work with. So that's my take on that question.
That's very true, po. Actually, just a side note, no. You could go to our Facebook page at BrandSpeak Asia or YouTube, and we actually did an Ask BrandSpeak on influencers. So if you're curious on how influencer marketing works and everything in that nature, after this live stream, please feel free to check out the other videos that we've had because this is not the first Ask Brand Speak. We've had a bunch before, and feel free to go through that. Okay, and how about you, Sir Jerome? What? Sorry, how can you apply a design trend in your brand?
So first, you have to know the brand, your brand identity, and know the project brief. The message that you want to convey to your audience before applying any design trend. So, for example, if you're having a sale or a promo, you don't want to use a muted palette design. You would rather go for a vibrant design look that will really, entice the viewers, to use those loud and vibrant colors like red, yellow, instead of using the muted colors like brown, the subdued colors, because you want to gain their attraction. You want to evoke their feelings to buy, to purchasing power there, so you use the colors red and the color orange, maybe, to evoke their feelings, to buy and to use, or to avail the products that you're promoting. So for me, yeah, you have to really know the brand design and its usage, the design trend, because it should fit. It's not just because you want to join the bandwagon. This is the in factor, the new thing, or the new gimmick that's going on. Just join the bandwagon and do it. You really have to know the why, and you really have to go back to the message, because eventually this might break the brand that you're building. So we have to be careful with that also.
That's very
Yeah,
true.
that's it for me.
Uh, I think yeah, the usage of colors can really dictate the emotion, no, of
Yeah.
certain graphic design and stuff like that. Oh, here, let's look at more comments, no, from our active chat, because we are live right now. For the people who are looking at the replay, we have an active chat that we could actually engage with you guys. So for the next brand speak, I hope you guys could be there in the live for the people watching the replay. So here, let's look at one of the comments here. Even when there is a trend, always prioritize your brand aesthetic and identity as a compass. Good one, Jerome.
Agree.
Very true. So don't
True.
forget the brand elements. Know your why exactly.
Yeah.
That's a very good comment, Miss Lake. And also we have a lot of Apple fans in the chat, as I can see here. But yeah, see, there you go. There, Iko, Miss Dia. Musikan Miss D. Yeah. So anyway, let's move on to the final question that we have today. And I think this is where we get a little personal now, because we're getting it straight from our top editors and top designers here with Sir Jerome and Sir Brett of BrandSpeak Asia. So the final question is, do you have any takeaway messages for aspiring, brands or people who want to get into graphic design or anything like that? Any design tips for them? People are going to college, you never know. So yeah, what are your takeaway messages and design tips for them?
Okay. So for me, graphic design trends are not there as a mandatory, you're not required to use it in every design that you do. I mean, it is there as a guide. These design trends, they can break or make your brand, if you don't use it properly,
Yep.
So it's either you go with it or you build your own design, you create your own design trend. So design trends are there to inspire you, you know. It is not there to, you have to use this, you have to use this. No, it's just there to guide you or inspire you. And, at the end of the day, you create your design artwork, you're there also to inspire others, in building that design. So, inspire to be inspired, I guess that's my takeaway message.
Oh, that's
Yep.
very well said. How about you,
Yep.
Sir Brett?
One thing, don't overdo or overthink. So if you want something to trend, don't go with the obvious. Think like innovators. They don't care about trends. They care about creating something great. It's important that you know your audience interests and to engage them effectively and understand their pain points. And I think this way you're you're not just targeting the viral aspect of the trend, but you're generating something productive and more profitable. A trend is an idea, activity, philosophy, or action that is constantly changing over time. So for your brand to keep up with trends, it is important to evolve as your market evolves. Trends are trends are just a reflection of their psychology, and people will be inclined to follow others. Use that fact to produce trends that matter to your audience and therefore your brand.
Wow. Very well said, guys. Thank you, Sir Brett and Sir Jerome. I hope everybody learned a lot. No? Wait, before we, wrap things up, let's go to chat one more time, and let's see what chat's saying right now. Miss Dear, there. Don't do and overthink. Be an innovator. Don't mind the trends too much. Very well said, Miss Lay, for shortening that. A good what do you call this? A summary, no? Uh, but yeah, I totally agree with that, with what Sir Brett just said. It's kind of like working, no? If you work for the money, you won't really work that hard. But if you work for the passion, if it's
Yeah.
something that you believe in,
True.
then true nice outcomes will come about. So I
Yeah.
think this is the same mindset in the situation wherein you just don't aim to trend, don't aim to become popular. Just do what you want to do, and that way the outcomes will just go come to you naman eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, nice one, Brett. Proud of you, nephew, though. Sir Brett has some fans in the chat. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I think we can wrap things up now. So these are the design trends for 2021 brought to you by BrandSpeak Asia. Please do not forget to follow us on all of our social media. So those are the links below. So yeah, they're at BrandSpeak Asia on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And of course, if you want to avail the 10-minute free, this is free, 10-minute free brand consultation, just put it in the comments below. I want 10. All caps. Just that simple. That's letter I space WANT and then number 10. And that way, one of our BrandSpeak Asia personnel will get in touch with you and let's schedule a date. And then we'll have this 10-minute, we call this consultation. So, yeah, I think this is myself, Gia, signing up and signing off. Thank you, Sir Jerome and Sir Brett, for this wonderful time. And yeah, thank you for having us. And I hope everybody has a nice day today. Everybody, take care. Bye bye.